Okay, I'll welcome everybody to the September Watertown School District School Board meeting, and I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, item 2.1, roll call. Please note all board members are present. Item 2.2, are there any conflicts of interest this evening that we need to disclose? Okay, item 2.3, review and approval of the agenda. Could we have a motion?
I move approval of the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Stein.
Second.
Second by Ms. Moulton. Any comments or questions on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.4, approve the minutes of the August 9th, 2021 meeting. Could we have a motion on that one, please?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by, my brain is dead. Ms. Lohr. Could we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stein. Any comments or questions on the approval of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.5, we will receive the financial reports for August 2021 from Emily Sovil, our Assistant Business Manager.
Yes, thank you. In the general fund, the revenue consists of a small amount of tax proceeds, state aid, and federal dollars. The federal dollars are associated with expenditures that occurred in fiscal year 2021. The expenditures exceeded the revenue during the month as typical. This fund's ending cash position reflects an increase when compared to the prior 2 years and is a direct reflection of the increased allocation and federal support received under the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds. The revenue in the capital outlay fund consists of the typical August property taxes along with interest income. Other revenue includes sales from the surplus auction. The expenditures significantly exceeded the revenue this month as typical. This fund's ending cash position is relatively consistent with that of the prior year when the remaining certificate allocation for the remodel of the high school is retained from the balance. In the special education fund, the revenue includes a small amount of tax proceeds, the monthly state aid payment, and federal revenue. The federal revenue was in the form of 611, 619 funds for the costs that occurred in the 2021 fiscal year. Lake Area Tech saw revenue significantly exceed the expenditures due to the receipt of the first semester tuition and student fees. This fund's ending cash position reflects an increase when compared to the prior 2 years and is a direct reflection of the increased allocation and federal support received under the higher education emergency relief funds. Financial aid saw an increase in activity due to the enrollment at Lake Area Technical College. This month's activity was in excess of $5,300,000. The bookstore saw strong sales for the first semester of the 2021-22 year. In the operation of LATC's EduCare program, expenditures exceeded the revenue during the month due to the payroll supplement payment made to the employees as approved at the August board meeting in the amount of $12,200. The ending cash position of this fund continues to increase. I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, if there's no questions, we can move on to the student staff recognition.
Thanks. We are just starting some of our fall activities, so don't have much for you tonight, but I would like to just make mention that President Mike Cartney finally, through COVID, was inducted into the South Dakota Hall of Fame at an in-person banquet in Chamberlain on Saturday. So we're proud of Mike and his accomplishments, and it was nice to see that take place.
Okay, thank you.
I think I would applaud that too,
There you
even
go.
though Mike's not here tonight.
Okay, now we'll move on to discussion items for Lake Area. And first we have item 3.1. Is there any public input this evening on agenda or non-agenda items for Lake Area? Okay, seeing none. Item 3.2 is a notice that we have a work session for a joint meeting with the school board and the Lake Area Tech Strategic Advisory Council on October 21st from noon till 2. Is there anything else we needed to add to that?
Nope, just notice a meeting that the full board will be in session in conjunction with Strategic Advisory Council.
Okay, thanks. Item 3.3, we'll get a report from Vice President Stiles on the fall enrollment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited to present the official enrollment for fall of 2021. Each of you received our press release that went out today. But in addition to that, I have some, just a general overview and then some trends that I'd like to share with you. So this is probably the best slide in the presentation. So we have record-breaking enrollment when we look at the new students in programs. So for Lake Area Tech, this is the most important measure that we have. And when we look at trends over time, if we look at this new student in program, we're certainly going in the right direction. Why does that matter? So Lake Area Tech always aims to increase enrollment each year, but the reason why it's important isn't to meet a certain number. Our goal in our mission as Lake Erie Tech and as the South Dakota Technical College system is to meet workforce demand in South Dakota. And so when you look at these workforce demand numbers, if you look at the light gray, that's going to be the number of graduates that we produce in South Dakota each year, and we just updated it this past year. And then the dark gray bar is actually the number of positions that are currently available in high demand occupations. And so when you tie that together with what we're seeing in trends in enrollment as we look deeper into our numbers, you'll notice that we reached 1,005 students. So the first time we've been over 1,000 students, new students in programs. And this is an 8.1% increase over fall of 2020. But more importantly, our large increases go hand in hand with our investments that we made in additional instructors, and they also go hand in hand with that workforce development chart I just showed you. So our largest enrollment increases are in diesel technology, the healthcare programs, particularly practical nursing and community health worker, and energy technology. When we look on the trends on online, we always watch those each year. Our online trends are back on pace and what they were prior to COVID. So last year we did see a jump in the number of students that shifted to online and also shifted to program prep. And then this year we're seeing all those students shift back to on campus. Fall 2021 looks a lot different than fall 2020, and it's a little bit more stable, and that's reflected in our enrollment. Our gender, we still are right at 51.56% male and then 48.44% female, and so that's right pretty even each year, and that continues. First generation is another measure that we're starting to monitor, and so we have 22.88% are first generation students. So these are students that they're the very first person in their family to go to college, and so that's significant. When we look at our dual status and concurrent status changes, we saw a dip last year, and then they're back on pace with what they were 2 years ago for dual status. And what might be interesting to you is that there's 35.7% of our dual status students served are from Watertown High School. But in addition to Watertown High School, we serve 63 other schools and homeschool students, and that makes up the other just over 64%. When we look at Build Dakota enrollment, that's been significant for Lake Area Tech, and there's 9.9% of our students in programs are Build Dakota recipients, and over 82% of those have Stretch the Million partners. And so that's all students first and second year and are on full ride scholarships, 9.9%, so just under 10% of our students have full ride scholarships, and I always joke that they don't even have to play sports, so they can focus on their school. And then there's 1.4 million total in Build Dakota scholarships just for this fall, and then there's an additional just under 1 million in Stretch the Million sponsorships. And then if we look at the whole year, it's going to be over $3 million in investment. And so we give you updates by semester, and we give you updates year to year, but when you look at the trends over time, we actually have an increase of 39.5% in unduplicated headcount since 2014, when we first were developing that campus plan document, the second version of the campus plan document. So that's really remarkable to look back on and see all the enrollment growth compounded over time. And then with that, I would stand for any questions that you have about the enrollment report.
Thank you for your report. You guys are doing a great job over there.
Thank you. It's exciting. And we're glad that we're able to serve more students this year.
All right. There's no questions on that. We'll move on to the action items for Lake Area. And first of all, personnel, items 4.1.1, the resignations.
So we left that on the agenda, but we actually have no resignations this month. So that's great news as well.
Okay, then 4.1.2, retirement.
We do have one retirement, and we would recommend that the school board approve that retirement.
Okay, could we have a motion to approve the retirement?
I move we approve the retirement, item 4.1.2.
Motion by Mr. Stein
I'll second.
and a second by Mrs. Lohr. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And
I was gonna say, maybe you wanna add, thank you for your years of service, as it's a retirement on that.
the
And I can acknowledge it's Claudia Friends. She's been working in our IT department for 21 years, and so we're missing her already, and we wish her all the best in her retirement. She hopes to sleep in, so I hope that she's been able to accomplish her goals.
I think she can have a round of applause.
Yes.
Too. Okay, now we'll move on to item 4.1.3, the contract recommendations and addendums.
So we have a fairly lengthy list this month. Many of them are our staff positions. As we started this year, we finished hiring for our staff positions. We also have several new instructor academy positions, and then the remainder are adjunct and corporate education contracts. So I would recommend approval of all of the contracts as presented.
Could we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts.
Motion by Mrs. Lohr
Second.
and a second by Mr. Stein to approve the contract recommendations and addendums. Is there any comments or questions on those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, then we'll move on to 4.2 in the property items. First of all, we have 4.2.1, consider heavy equipment and diesel lease agreements.
Yeah, thank you. As in years past, there are 15 lease agreements for you to consider this month. These are no-cost and low-cost lease agreements thanks to our industry partners, and this helps reduce the cost to students by lessening the cost of maintenance, repair, and capital investment on equipment. And so I would recommend that you approve those lease agreements.
Okay, could we have a motion to approve the lease agreements?
I make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Iverson
Second.
and a second by Ms. Moulton to approve the heavy equipment and diesel lease agreements. Is there any comments or questions on those agreements? I'd just like to say thank you to the companies that we're working with on some of those, on all of those.
Yes.
It's huge.
It makes all the difference for our students, and they're able to work on the latest technology, and then it's affordable for the college. So thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the lease agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.2.2, consider the state contracted furniture bid.
So as you're aware, Office Peeps has been awarded the vendor contract under the state as the low bidder for items contained on the state price list. So as a local government, this allows us to purchase items with our local vendor and that have already been bid through the bid process. So the listing that you have before you is a list of furniture for the cost of $90,040 to replace the student tables and chairs in 4 classrooms in the 200 building. This will actually be covered by HERF 3 funding. And so I would recommend that we continue with the purchase of this state contracted furniture.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
I move approval of the state contracted furniture bid for Office Peeps at $90,040.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Moulton. And a second by Mr. Iverson. Is there any comments or questions on the furniture bid from Office Peeps? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the furniture bid, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4.2.3, consider the property purchase agreement with the Phi family.
So before you, you have the purchase agreement for the property. It's right along Highway 20 north of Lake Kempeska. This is land that we've rented since 2005 for our agricultural department. They're selling the property and they gave us first option to buy it at the appraised value, and I would recommend it purchasing that property for the agriculture department.
Could we have a motion, please?
I move that we purchase the Phi property.
Motion by Mr. Iverson. And a second by Ms. Moulton to purchase the Phi family property in the amount of, is it 310,000?
Yeah, you have a good memory.
All right, is there any comments or questions on that?
I just appreciated the map that you sent. It's like, look exactly where the property was.
Yes, it's helpful to be able to drive by and see that property if you haven't before.
Yeah.
And I just thank you for your investment in that property, because it allows us to continue to be hands-on in our agriculture program and do really the applied research part of agriculture.
And I'd like to thank the family for the long-time relationship that we've had with them and allowing us to purchase that property, because it is a very nice property out there.
It is, and a very generous price. And then David Phi has given to the college for a number of years, and so we hope to honor him as well.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 4.2.4, authority to bid equipment.
So before you, you have 9 items that we're asking for the authority to bid. Lake Area Tech was part of the 2021 legislative allocation for equipment through the State Board of Technical Education. LATC total with the state match and the local match was awarded $2,112,885.67. It's very exact. And so of that, $1,394,504.54 is the state contribution to that, or 66% of the total allocation. So these are the items that were on that state list for equipment that exceed $50,000, and so all other items that are on the state equipment list are under the $50,000 limit. So I would recommend that that the board approve the authority to bid these items.
Could we have a motion, please?
I move that we approve authority to bid the 9 items listed in the board packet and as presented.
Motion by Ms. Moulton
I'll second.
and a second by Mr. Iverson. Is there any questions or comments on the approval to bid this equipment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're down to 4.3, which is consider the Department of Labor and Regulations Agreement. Here I am jumping. First, we do 4.2.5, consider the Capital City Campus Lease Agreement.
So Lake Area Tech was approved through the Higher Learning Commission and the Department of Education to add an additional location in Pierre. And the Capital City campus is the building in Pierre that we've partnered with Maxwell Strategies to be able to offer our nursing program. We started that program last year with 8 students, and this year we have 9 students enrolled in the program. To get us started, the Maxwell Strategies and the Capital City Campus Board provided that space to us at no cost. However, now in our second year of their partnership, they've proposed this lease agreement that mirrors what they have with the Board of Regents, who also offers classes on their campus. And so it's a fee based on a per credit rate. There's a different fee for online and on campus. And the estimated cost of this lease agreement for this fiscal year is going to be $3,000. So I would recommend that we move forward and enter into that lease agreement with the Capital City campus and acknowledge that that's a pretty reasonable rate given the support that they provide for Lake Area Tech.
All right, thank you. Could we have a motion?
I move that we approve the Capital City Campus Lease Agreement.
Motion by Mr. Iverson. Second by Ms. Moulton. Any comments or questions on that lease agreement? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, now we can move to 4.3 and consider the Department of Labor and Regulations agreement.
So this first agreement with the Department of Labor and Regulation is a continuation of a longtime partnership with the Department of Labor for our placement report and work study reporting. A few years ago, the WIOA funds no longer allowed the Department of Labor staff to provide those services to Lake Area Tech directly without having a separate agreement. And so this agreement pays for the time spent on those activities. Julie Mullenhoff is our longtime Department of Labor and Regulation representative, and the placement report is one of our most important outcomes that we measure, and so we strongly feel that this relationship is beneficial, and we wish to continue that. So I would recommend approving this agreement.
Okay, could we have a motion, please?
I move approval of the Department of Regulations agreement as presented.
Motion by Ms. Moulton
Second.
and a second by Mrs. Lohr. Any comments or questions on the agreement with the Department of Labor and Regulations? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then 4.4, consider the Department of Labor and Regulations Memorandum of Understanding for the Upskill Program.
Thank you. So this agreement with the Department of Labor and Regulation mirrors last year's agreement to host the Upskill program as a partnership between the State Board of Technical Education and the Department of Labor. The main difference this year is that they're also covering more of the cost for materials, supplies, and tools for the students that are participating in that program. We did see a reduction in the number of students enrolled, but we have 12 to 13 students that are enrolled in the Upskill program for this fall, which is a certificate program aimed at training individuals in South Dakota that have been impacted by COVID-19. So I would recommend that we approve this upskill agreement.
Okay, could we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Lohr
Second.
and a second by Mr. Iverson to approve the Memorandum of Understanding for the Upskill Program with the Department of Labor and Regulations. Is there any comments or questions on that one? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right,
Thank you, President
Thank you.
Raber.
okay, now we'll move on to the discussion items for 14-4, and first of all, 5.1. Is there any public input on agenda or non-agenda items this evening? Okay, if not, 5.2 is the Northeast Tech High School report.
Thank you. The Board of Superintendents did not meet during the month of September, but the full board would meet actually in 2 days, Wednesday the 15th, 5:45 PM at Northeast Tech High School.
Okay, thanks. 5.3, we'll have a summer curriculum update for Tricia Walker.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to tell you tonight about all the activities that happened last summer to develop our staff and to prepare for a brand new school year. So I'm going to start with sharing information about our summer school program. Our summer school this last summer was able to expand because of some of our COVID funding. We located all at one site, so it was all held at the middle school. And we were able to add transportation for our K-8 students, and 96 students took advantage of that transportation opportunity. We were also able to add some English as a second language programming for students. At the K-6 level, we serviced 283 students. Those students were selected based on their AIMSweb or their CBM, their curriculum-based measurement scores that we do in the spring. We screen all of our students, and we rank those students based on their needs, and the most needy are invited to attend our summer reading and math programs. The instruction includes RTI interventions and different curriculum programs. We had 10 reading instructors, 5 math instructors, and 12 paras that provided that K-8, K-6 summer school. At the 7-8 level, we serviced 48 students. That eligibility was determined based on their learning loss of content areas during the school year. The instruction focused on their coursework that they missed, and we had 9 instructors and 3 paras participating at those levels. And this shows the credits that were recovered through the middle school level, how many of those courses were recovered during the summer. At the high school level, we had 85 students participate. Their eligibility was also determined by loss of learning in their courses, and the instruction focused on their coursework to recover. 2 night school instructors and 4 content instructors provided those services, and these were the credits that were recovered in each of the different content areas for the summer. We also, every summer, provide extended school year summer school, ESY, and this is for our special education students. We had 5 special ed teachers, 6 SLC teachers. SLC is our structured learning center, so our most cognitive delayed students receive these services. All of these students are prescribed by their IEP or their individualized instruction plan. We had 3 early childhood teachers, 2 high school teachers, 4 speech pathologists and OT staff, and then 11 paraprofessionals. So it's a hefty staff, but all of these services are determined by their IEP, and that happens throughout the summer. And we provided we had 1 transportation staff to transport 12 special needs students. These are the numbers of those students and the credits that they recovered at their levels. And then the English as a second language or English language learner students were able to participate in some summer opportunities. We had 2 instructors and 1 para providing those services. They serviced 19 students. The focus was on reading, writing, listening, and speaking English to prevent that learning loss over the summer. They focused on academic language and just giving them opportunities to practice those things. And the theme was landmarks from around the world. In addition to our regular summer school, we also offered driver's ed this summer. As we do each summer, we serviced 129 students. We had 23 students who were able to participate with reduced fees paid by the Aero Education Foundation, so thanks to them for that support. There were 7 instructors. This summer, if you remember, we condensed the schedule a bit and we offered some more flexible scheduling, and that was very successful. So our numbers were nice, and participants appreciated those changes that we made. The next section, I'm going to share some of the curriculum updates that we worked on throughout the summer. These were the subject areas that were up for adoption this year. The ones above the dotted line were technically in their 2nd year of adoption, but we postponed them because of COVID the summer before, and so we were playing a little bit of catch up. So that was all of our fine arts, including visual arts, vocal and instrumental music, and world language. And then counseling, library, and industrial tech would have been in their 1st year of adoption. The fine arts state standards focus on these areas: creating, presenting, responding, and connecting. And if you have the opportunity to read the state standards for fine arts, they're very nebulous. They're not very specific on what each grade is supposed to cover. They want students to be able to create and present and respond and connect, but it doesn't say exactly what at each grade level. And so a piece of our review this summer was to really spell that out so we know in Watertown what is going to be presented and taught at each level of our foundational levels, K-8. So that was a big piece of our task this summer. We developed a draft of specific skills for each grade level, and we focused, in the visual arts, we really focused on the production, including those elements and principles of art, the different techniques that the students would be exposed to, analysis and critique, and then art, history, and culture. Wanting all of those things to be present for all of our students so they have opportunities throughout their career, and making sure that we are presenting different genres of art, different artists and movements, and those kinds of things. We wanted to make sure that while each art teacher may choose different projects, we want to know that our students are having experiences with different mediums, different opportunities throughout their career with us in fine arts. So K-8 will continue to develop those course maps with an emphasis on those consistent mediums and focuses. And 9-12 is working on some different course development. We like the courses that we offer at the high school, but we also know that some of our students go through those courses and then are looking for more different opportunities in the art field. So over their course of 4 years in high school, they might take them all. And so we talked about some different opportunities that we might be able to develop, knowing that we need to stay within our current staffing and scheduling parameters. But some of the things that we're considering would be some printmaking, filmmaking, an advanced art class at different arts and crafts opportunities that would focus on different art skills. And so those are being discussed at the department level, and we'll have some recommendations before the registration for next year in these areas. Music, both vocal and instrumental, developed a similar draft, and so it's a big matrix of which grade teaches which skills in these areas. So not only music theory, but also what types of performance opportunities. So where will they play the recorder? When will they learn ukulele? How will they learn note reading? All those kinds of different things. I'm including movement skills, history, and culture, as well as critique of music. And then we've been in discussion about the different performance opportunities that our students have at the various levels, trying to make sure that they all have some ways to perform, either for their peers or for the public audiences. Our 9-12 world language began their first year of adoption this year, and we were excited because we hosted a teacher from the Sioux Falls School District. Her name is Britt Sampson. She came and worked with our teachers as well as some teachers from Huron. We were learning about comprehensible input, which is really exposing students to a lot of language with less emphasis on grammar and vocab and more emphasis on the use of language and speaking within the classroom. And so she got us all engaged. I felt like I knew some German by the end of the day, but just thinking about how those instructional strategies could benefit our students and how we might revise some of our offerings. We have been reviewing new materials, trying to encourage more speaking, reading, and writing that was embedded within those. And we've landed on kind of a phased adoption. We have a new Spanish teacher, and then we also have a teacher new to levels 3 and 4 of Spanish. And so rather than have them start with material that we know we're phasing out, they were ready to jump in with kind of the new material, and were able to select that material and feel good about the direction we're going. And so we're phasing that in for those levels over the next 2 years, as well as implementing our German 4. We'll have new curriculum for them this spring, and then new materials for 1 through 3 next fall in German. Our K-8 counseling curriculum, this is actually Tier 1 curriculum, and Tier 1 would be the curriculum that's provided to all students. So this is not counseling services one-on-one. This would be the lessons that our counselors go into the classroom and teach so that all of our students have that foundational background. We use a program called Second Step as our Tier 1. It used to be called Safe Lessons. Now they're Second Step lessons. Second Step offered some updated digital resources that our counselors are very interested in. And so through this revision, we were able to provide those updated materials. So they have been working on realigning their lessons and updating those materials. The middle school added Second Step as part of their advisory program, which would be a Tier 1 level as well, because all of the students at the middle school will get those lessons through their advisory programs. It does line up with our K-6 model, and so we felt like that was a good good continuation for our students. At the high school, they selected a product called Character Strong as part of their advisory adoption, so that will also be considered a Tier 1. And that kind of all fits into the social emotional focus of our counseling curriculum for Tier 1. Library is also on the list for curriculum revision, even though we don't have a tier 1 delivery model. Like, not all of our students get library instruction on a regular schedule. Chris O'Brien and Joanne Butts are certified librarians in the district, and so they did work on reviewing the state library standards to align their current lessons and the projects and things that they do with classrooms currently to make sure which skills they are covering. They plan to create a calendar to track that coverage so they can address any missing skills and maybe build in some new opportunities to partner with different departments to cover things that maybe are not being currently addressed. And they do plan to apply for a 21st Century Library grant. Those are some of the revisions. I know the board revised some board policy in line with those opportunities that they want to apply for. And then they've also been trying to work with our K-6 library paraprofessionals to make sure that students are feeding in as properly as possible, knowing that our K-6 librarians are not certified librarians, but they do, teach a lot of those skills and reinforce a lot of those skills through their library. Industrial Tech at the middle school is a department of one, and so Jason Himmerich is in that role. And so there have been some changes to their on-course structure because of, over the past few years, the staffing changes that they've had there. And so he is working on just making sure that the modules are in line. They use the Project Lead the Way, that's the PLTW modules, as well as some different robotics pieces. And so he's kind of vetting all that out, and they're working on that more at a building level because he's the only one, and then we're kind of catching up throughout. We didn't have a summer meeting. They're kind of working on that, and we're checking in over the course. They're in year 1 of industrial tech revision. So for summer 2022, we will finalize those current adoptions, as many of them as possible, and then K-12 science will start year 1, and so that will be their first of 2 years of science adoption. In terms of professional development that was offered this summer, I provided you a timeline of some of the unusual things that we did through the 3 summer months. In June, we hosted our K-6 grade levels as well as special ed to continue our literacy focus. A lot of that had to do with the SPDG literacy grant. Our staff development committee met and developed a plan for this year for in-services, and then also just meeting paraprofessional needs and some of the different pieces that have been requested. K-6 interventionists participated in an Anita Archer explicit instruction training. That was open to all of our SPED, and our interventionists all took part in that. We hosted our summer academy our first week in June, and one day of that was our early childhood day. We invited regional preschool teachers and daycare providers to participate free of charge, and we had a number of sessions for them to just connect with each other. We don't always have a large group for our own early childhood, so we wanted to kind of build them a group of support, and so we invited them to participate so we could capitalize on each other's knowledge, and there's some desire to continue that relationship either through this school year if we have the opportunity, and again next summer, just trying to have a regular chance for them to connect with each other. In July, our K-6 writing committee met to work on the development of some of the writing skills that go along with our curriculum. If you remember, the writing piece was delayed slightly, and so we're just working on making sure we're ready for that as it comes in to meet student needs. That's when we did our comprehensible input with world language. Our Return to Learn committee met to prepare for the school year, as well as our new teacher academy and teacher mentoring kickoff at the very end of the month. And that's a really important time. We had about 30 new certified staff to the district that we put through 3 days of really specific training to help prepare them for launching their curriculum and their classrooms really successfully. And our coaches take the lead on that in providing those supports for our new teachers. Our second week of academy was the 2nd through the 6th. And then we also hosted a substitute training day, a new paraprofessional training day, and we also hosted a district at our pre-service getting ready for our end-of-year MAPS rollout and making sure that all of our staff were ready for delivering and then the reporting of our end-of-year MAPS initiative. This last slide shows the numbers from our summer academy. This is really an important time, in my opinion, for helping our staff stay current on what's new and how to better instruct. Over 3,000 hours were spent in sessions over the 2 weeks. We had 183 participants, and I always say plus because I'm quite certain I don't get every sheet turned in, but almost all. We had at least 183 participate. We had almost 30 that were from out of district. We invite anyone from the region to participate. We were able to offer 81 USF credits were earned, as well as lots and lots of CEU, continuing education units for our staff. We hosted 125 sessions, and we had 64 different instructors. So just kind of puts in perspective what can be accomplished we had 9 days of learning in those 2 weeks. And I feel like that makes a huge difference for our staff to be able to take new things and see what's out there from their peers and colleagues. So, thank you for the opportunity to coordinate, these different opportunities for staff, and I would open myself up for any questions.
I have some. I'm going to start at the end of your presentation. First of all, thank you for all your hard work. You have quite a bit on your plate. Thank you. K6 writing, is that working with the 6 traits of writing?
That's a component of it. The curriculum that we select at the Fontesville Classroom has a writing component, and a piece of that is specific to the writing skills. It's the 6 traits. It's not labeled as 6 traits, but all 6 of them are there with that same verbiage. I won't remember it off the top of my head, but in that really thick book that I gave you, that's in there, and you'll find the 6 traits under the word I can't remember. I can find it.
Oh, look. Okay, summer of 2022, you're going to start into science. I have a very strong suggestion. Looking through handbooks and course outlines from other schools, even high schools that are smaller than ours, they offer many more AP classes than we do. In fact, one of our AP classes was cut from a year to a semester because we have a teacher shortage at the high school. Science area, we definitely need AP chemistry and AP physics. We have a person who is a PhD in one of those, totally being underutilized. And what's labeled as advanced chemistry is not advanced chemistry. I noticed in the course outline book also, sophomores. It says 10, 11, and 12 can sign up for chemistry, but I believe the science department has said, no, we do not want 10th graders. They do not have the math skills ready to move into chemistry. So maybe that's just an overlook in the course outline handbook, but it should be open to 11th and 12th graders as recommended by the science department. That's for chemistry. Industrial tech at the middle school, is that just robotics, or what else do they cover? Do you happen to know?
They do the Project Lead the Way modules of engineering. Can you help me, Dr. Brist?
Automation and
Thank you.
design is the 7th grade, and robotics is the 8th grade.
Thank you. I'd like to tour that sometime. Should be good. I'm glad to see that you're including paraprofessionals at the library, particularly the elementary level. It's really important. I used to teach research skills as young as 2nd grade, and it considerably ups reading ability. If they're reading text, and particularly nonfiction, and a well-developed library that supports the curriculum. So they're crucial. Advisory, I see, is back on the plate for the high school. This is the, 3rd, 4th time we've been through this, so I guess we'll see if that's working out or not. Language, world language, 9 through 12. Last I looked at class sizes for Spanish. They're packed. I'd like to see the class sizes for this year, so it'll be interesting. We are really short a Spanish teacher and a German teacher. We used to have 1.5 German teachers. We are down to 1. So German 4 often gets slighted, and I'm not sure, is that offered every other year? Is it still offered?
This year, I think I just looked when I was trying to order the German materials. There's 17 in German 4. So
Okay.
It's a standalone class.
Very good. Excellent. New materials for language, are they just online materials? Are they written text? New books?
For the world language,
Yeah, world language, yep.
they chose something called Somos curriculum, which has an online component. It's got a digital component as well. It's not a hardcover textbook.
Okay, can you repeat the name of that?
Somos, S-O-M-O-S.
Is that both Spanish and German?
German, we have not ordered yet. It's in the process. He selected Carnegie. I don't remember the name of the text, but it's
Sure.
Carnegie. And then the level 4 is a German word.
Okay, sounds good. It's about that long, I'm sure. Music and art. We offer an online art appreciation and music appreciation courses. They aren't exactly high quality. And I know the art department and sometimes the music department over the years has specifically asked to teach art appreciation or music appreciation as an in-person with a real teacher course. The online option is, it's not good.
So one piece of our summer review this year was to talk about courses at the high school level, and both those departments, that's a piece of it, is what else can we offer, and what would be popular with students, what fits into teacher schedules, do we have enough teacher staffing to do it? And we did talk about art appreciation with the art department, and because the online piece is there, it's not hugely popular, they felt it was more important to offer the hands-on, laboratory type studio type classes for the art instructors at this point. Music, there's not a huge amount of time in their schedules to do it. It didn't really get discussed, but.
Sure, I understand. Offering more courses, particularly AP, it's a good way to keep seniors in the building. We often lose our seniors, 12th grade level. They either take a very slow, not very rigid set of courses, or they aren't in the building that much, and they kind of lose contact with the school. So offering more courses, offering more rigor, offering AP courses might be a good way to keep those seniors in the building and engaged. And they should not have a slack year necessarily that last year.
Part of the challenge is filling the classes, because even the AP classes we have, their numbers are not particularly high in all of the areas, and so it's a challenge to figure out which courses to add, because those courses take away numbers of instructors from other places, and so it becomes a balancing act.
I understand. As I've said before, we're short of teachers at the high school and the middle school. I'm flipping pages here. Driver's ed numbers, was that pretty much close to what we had for previous year?
We, when we bring forth, if it's January or February, when we bring forth the driver's ed and what our fees will be, we have a list of enrollment for the last so many years. I believe last year was lower. It was around, it was either 120 or it was right in the teens. But we did have a couple down years.
Sure, understandable.
Yeah, and so it's been very helpful that Arrow Education Foundation has been stepping up to help us with those, with the registration fee. But this year, I think what we did with the flexible scheduling and with the class schedule, we shortened that up. The same amount of hours, just made longer days but shorter amount of time they had to be there. Really did help our families. Our families are very appreciative.
Yeah, seemed to work really well.
Yeah, it really did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Summer school. So what determines acceptance of a credit? Are they passing at 70%, 60%, or it just varies depending on the subject area?
I can't answer that.
I cannot answer that. And this was what I received from the principals on the credits received.
Sure.
So I'm assuming it was teacher-led, and if a principal would like to answer that, but it was from teachers working with students on the curriculum, and I'm assuming they achieved the goals that they needed to achieve.
At the high school level, they would have to follow the same qualifications
Same,
fall and spring term. Yep,
same curriculum.
yep. Same at the middle school.
Thank you. Can you, I know you've probably touched on this before, Ames Web, is that a timed course or test?
It's more of a screener. It's K2. It happens one-on-one because it's oral, and then at the other levels, it's a written screener. I don't recall if it was timed or not.
Okay,
It is
It was
timed.
timed.
It is timed.
okay. Well, it brings up my really deep concern about math at the K6 level, particularly Common Core math, investigative math. Drawing squares certainly takes time as opposed to doing arithmetic quickly and efficiently. And I would just love to see Common Core math be tossed to the side. I think it teaches frustration to parents, students. It's frustrating for teachers as well. It's hard to teach. And I don't think it's what we need. I think surrounding schools actually teach a much more rigorous arithmetic than we do here. And it's probably true a couple other areas. I've actually checked on that. So that completes my lengthy list of questions, but thank you for your patience.
Any other comments or questions, or thanks for your questions, Gina? There's a lot that goes on in the summer and a lot of different areas to touch on that you did a very nice job telling us what happens all summer, because it's a lot. All right, if there's no other questions there, we will move on to 5.4, which is the first reading of policies. And first we have 5.4.1, IHBH, participation of alternative instruction students.
Yeah, thank you. The South Dakota Legislature passed a law last session that went into effect for this year about alternative instruction students being allowed to participate in school-sponsored activities, and then also activities sanctioned by the South Dakota High School Activities Association. So we are updating our policies with assistance from both our state organizations and the Activity Association to reflect the update in that law. So you'll see the IHBH is the policy, and then IHBH-A is the checklist for alternative instruction students. I would make one note on the checklist that our old policy would remain in effect for alternative instruction students who wish to open enroll into the Watertown School District, which means they must be enrolled in 50% or greater in order to be eligible. And this is a first reading. They'll be posted for public comment and brought back for a second reading at the October board meeting.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on these? We can just lump these two policies together, or these two board items together.
Yeah, there's no motion to be needed, so.
Yep, just a first reading, so if anybody from the public or anywhere has any more comments, we'd welcome them before our next board meeting. All right, and then we can move on to the action items, and first of all, 6.1, approval of the bills. Could we have a motion, please?
I move to pay some bills, please.
Motion by Mr. Stein,
Second.
second by Mrs. Lord to approve the bills for the month. Any comments or questions on those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move to 6.2 in the personnel. And first of all, 6.2.1, resignations.
Yes, we have 8 classified resignations for you to consider.
Could we have a motion to approve those resignations, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation.
Motion by Mrs. Lohr
Second.
and a second by Mr. Stein. Comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And 6.2.2, the contract recommendations and addendum.
Yes, we have classified professional development, activity positions, and then salary advancements for you to consider.
Okay, could we have a motion on those, please?
I move to approve the contract recommendations and addendums as presented.
Motion by Mr. Stein
My second.
and a second by Ms. Lohr. Any comments or questions there? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And then we've got 6.2.3, the authority to hire.
Yes, we have an authority to hire a school psychologist that we have ESSER funds that we can use that for special ed positions, and the school psychologist is a special ed position. Then we have a K through 8 colony instructor and a paraprofessional that we're bringing forth as an authority to hire as well. We have a new colony in the Watertown School District. And then we have 2 full-time school-to-home liaison. This is through our school improvement dollars. This is grant dollars through the state. And then we have a full-time nutrition services worker, 7-hour dishwasher at the high school that we'd like to bring forth.
Okay, could we have a motion, please?
Make a motion to authority to hire.
Motion by Mrs. Lohr
Second.
and a second by Mr. Stein to approve the various authority to hires as presented. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we'll move on to the property items. And 6.3.1, we need to reestablish the adult meal price.
Yes, thank you. In order to remain in compliance with the Healthy, Hungry, Free Kids Act, it is required that the district increase its adult meal price for the 21-22 school year to $4.05 rather than the previously approved amount of $3.85.
All right, a motion there, please.
I would make a motion that we approve 6.3.1.
Motion by Mr. Iverson. And a second by Ms. Moulton to establish the adult meal price for the 2021-22 school year at $4.05. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 6.4, I'll consider a K through 12 food service bonus.
Yes, thank you. The Watertown School District's Nutrition Service Operations received funding through the USDA Child Nutrition Program Emergency Operating Reimbursement Funding in the amount of $28,990. This is federal funding award specific to the nonprofit school food service account and can only be used for allowable food service costs. The payment came with the notation of the importance of recognizing school food service employees for their hard work and continued work through the pandemic. It is the district's intent to award a return bonus of $500 per employee and a $250 sign-on bonus upon completion of 30 days employment to the nutrition service staff for the 21-22 school year. The cost of this payroll award is estimated at $22,000 to be accommodated by this additional funding.
Okay, could we have a motion on this?
I move approval of the food service bonus as presented.
Motion by Ms. Moulton
Second.
and a second by Mr. Iverson. Is there any comments or questions on this item?
I guess the only question I would have is there's 28,000 and it's looked like it's going to cost us 22. What happens to the other 6,000?
I can certainly look into that and let you know what they're planning for that remaining funding.
There's probably some miscellaneous costs associated with updates. It's not necessarily notated that it all should go towards bonuses, so there's probably other upgrades included in there. I can't speak specifically either to it right now, but I'm sure part of this was looking at probably a nice round figure of the 500 and the 250, but there are other things that probably are being addressed with that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the K-12 food service bonus for those employees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now we've got 6.5, second reading of policies that we will consider this evening. First of all, 6.5.1, policy DJA, purchasing.
Yes, no changes from last month on our first reading, so recommending for your approval.
Okay, could we have a motion on that policy, please?
I would make that motion, we approve 6.5.1.
Motion by Mr. Iverson. And a second by Ms. Moulton. Any comments or questions on the policy? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then 6.5.2 is a new one, JHCDE, Administration of Medical Cannabis to Qualifying Students.
Yes, once again, this was a recommended policy for us by the state to administer medical cannabis to qualifying students. No changes noted from last month on this one either, so we are recommending this for your approval.
Okay, could we have a motion on this agenda item?
I move approval of item 6.5.2 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Stein
Second.
and a second by Mrs. Lohr. Any comments or questions on JHCDE? All right, if not, all in favor of its approval, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then we've got 6.5.3, the JHCDE-E1.
Yes, this is the Medical Cannabis Administration Plan form that needs to be filled out by the parent or guardian in order to administer this on site. And just in general, what it would look like is parents would designate 2 caregivers and would administer the medical cannabis on site in a room designated by us. But I want to emphasize there would be no storage on site or administration by school personnel as we work through this process. So all of that would be mapped out in this administration plan document. But once again, recommended from our state organizations and no changes from the first reading.
All right, could we have a motion on this item?
I move approval of JHCDE-E1 policy as presented.
Motion by Ms. Moulton
Second.
and a second by Mr. Iverson. Any comments or questions on that item? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We've got item 6.6 next, which is our student enrollment requests. And first of all, 6.6.1, open enrollment requests.
Yes, we have 8 open enrollment requests for your approval, and our recommendation is that you approve them.
Okay, could we have a motion on those open enrollments?
I'll make a motion to approve the open enrollments.
Motion by Mrs. Lohr
Second.
and a second by Mr. Stein to approve the open enrollment requests. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then 6.2.2, the 132810 requests.
Yes, we have 6 132810s to bring forward for your approval.
Okay, a motion on this, please.
I move to approve the 132810s as presented.
Motion by Mr. Stein
I'll second.
and a second by Mrs. Lohr to approve the 6 132810s. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll move on to our communications and the administrative reports.
Thank you. I'll put another plug in. If you go to the Watertown website, if there are people curious about COVID numbers for this school year, we do have a link right on the main page for our COVID counter The count as of 5/28 today was 27 total, and that is not distinguished between students and staff. So it's just listed on there per building, and it's a cumulative total, or a cumulative current total at each building. Put a plug in for homecoming activities that are coming up. Aero Days will start on September 27th and complete on Friday, October 1st. So be looking for information on that. We're about 2 weeks out from that. And then also in conjunction with that, put a plug in for the Aero Ed Harvest event this year. Little change in the format, but that will also take place on Friday, October 1st with kind of an open house or come and go event at 2nd Street Station from 5 to 11. We're still selling the raffle tickets. You can see John Solom over at the Aero Ed office near the high school. If you're interested in one of those, or one of your board members also have those for sale, but looking forward to some excellent participation in celebrating Aero Days with all of our returning Aeros as well as the current ones. And finally, district administrators have had a little bit of an update on the facilities study being done by Co-op, and they are readying that report for October, looking at the possibility of having a second meeting in October to discuss their findings and look at that direction. So we'll get more details there, but thinking about a second meeting on October 25th for that one. So more details for the board on that. But they're coming along just fine with the progress on what they are working on us for their facility studies. So that's all I have for the board right now.
Okay, thank you. 7.2, is there any board report to the superintendent from anyone this evening? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Moulton. Second by Mrs. Laura. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks, everybody. See you next month.